Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking through the NBA slate on Draftkings for Friday, April the 14th. We have another two-game slate on Friday night. We have the play-in tournament finishing up on Friday, and we have two games. Winner of these two games will get the 8th seed and will be in the playoffs, and then loser of these two games is done for the season. So these are win or go home games. If you lose, your season's over with. So once again, we can expect some very tight rotations here. We can expect some heavy minutes for a lot of the main guys. We're going to talk through each one of these two games, kind of give you an early preview of this slate, what I do like taking a first look on Thursday when I'm recording this video. But as always, guys, before we do get started with the breakdown, if you guys do enjoy these DFS videos, if they do help you out, make sure you hit that like button down below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And if you guys are new to the channel, if you have never checked out PrizePicks before, PrizePicks is the sponsor of this video. You guys can actually sign up for PrizePicks and use my promo code Noah when you sign up. If you look at the bottom of the screen, when you sign up with my promo code, you'll get your first deposit match up to $100. And for those of you that have never heard about PrizePicks, they are a very simple, easy site to use. They offer player props, and again, you're just picking more or less on a player's projection. It's as simple as that. You have to make at least 2 picks, but you can make up to 6 picks. You can win up to 25x your money on PrizePicks. PrizePicks does offer a ton of other sports outside of just NBA. So if you like to dabble into other sports, MLB, NHL, obviously NFL, when it comes around, PrizePicks offers a ton of sports. You can mix and match sports. You can make multi-sport entries. It's a lot of fun. You guys should definitely be playing over there. And if you're not signed up for PrizePicks yet, again, use that promo code Noah. When you do sign up, you'll get your first deposit matched up to $100. And as always, I should have a PrizePicks video posted for these Friday games. It'll probably go up later after this video gets posted, probably a couple hours after this video goes up. I will post my PrizePicks video talking through a couple player props that I like for these Friday night games. So if you guys want to check out that video, if you want to tell some plays I like, we have gone 4-0 over our last two videos. We've cashed both of our 2 plays our last 2 videos. So been doing pretty well with our PrizePicks videos. Hopefully you guys have been tailing those. But let's go ahead and talk about this Friday night slate, and we'll start off with the first game, the Bulls and the Heat. So we'll start off on the Miami side. I think Miami, for the most part, we can expect them to run, pretty similar rotation as to last game. But we did get a report that they are potentially looking at, changing up their rotation, changing up their starting lineup. It was reported by Underdog that Coach Spoelstra said Heat lineup and rotation could be a little different on Friday. So I'm not exactly sure what that means. I think for the most part, we can expect heavy minutes for Jimmy Butler, for Bam Adebayo, for Tyler Hero. I think the change that we could see potentially might be Kyle Lowry back in the starting lineup, because Lowry played so well in that game on Wednesday against Atlanta. Maybe they move Lowry into the starting lineup here. Not 100% sure on that. But we'll just kind of have to see. Gabe Vincent had been starting in place of Lowry. They can maybe, cut some guys out of the rotation. I'm not 100% sure. Kevin Love was getting the backup center minutes, but he only played 3 minutes. So, maybe they just, cut Kevin Love out. I don't know. But we'll talk about the main Miami guys here. So, Jimmy Butler coming in at 9K. I think Jimmy Butler is a pretty strong pay-up option here. He played 38 minutes in that game against Atlanta. That game technically wasn't do or die. They didn't have to win that game, but they have to win this game if they want to make the playoffs. So, I'm expecting more than 38 minutes from Butler here. I'm expecting about 40 minutes, maybe 41. Butler's been great lately, been doing everything when he's on the floor, scoring, rebounding, getting assists. He had a terrible shooting game last game and still put up 44 Draftkings points. That just shows you the upside that he has. So I think Jimmy Butler at 9K is a very strong pay-up option on this slate. Bam Adebayo at 7,600, I don't mind either. Bam played 41 minutes last game. He probably plays 40-plus minutes once again here. Miami, they just don't have a ton of confidence in really anyone else behind Bam. When Bam's not on the floor, they'll maybe give a few minutes to Kevin Love. Maybe they'll give a few minutes to Cody Zeller. Maybe they'll just play small ball. They just don't really have a ton of bigs outside of Bam that they feel confident playing. So Bam's minutes should be very secure here. Don't think the matchup's that great. Chicago's been a pretty good defensive team against bigs this season, but Bam's going to play a ton. He's historically been a good permanent producer. I think at 7,600, he is firmly in play. And then Tyler Hero at 7,100, probably my least favorite of the main Miami guys. Just don't think this matchup is that great for him, but Hero did play 35 minutes last game, took 23 shots. We know he's going to be aggressive offensively. We know when his shot is falling, he offers some upside. But I definitely prefer Bam over him. I would rather get up to Jimmy as well. And then Kyle Lowry is kind of the big decision point of this slate. Lowry was incredible last game, played 33 minutes. He couldn't miss from 3, put up 48 DraftKings points. again, like I think we could see Lowry move into the starting lineup here. They were bringing him off the bench, I think, just because like they were trying to keep his minutes down. A lot of the regular season, towards the end of the regular season, he was only playing like 22, 24 minutes off the bench. Well, last game got 33 minutes, which makes me assume he's pretty much fully healthy here. So I think we might see Kyle Lowry back in the starting lineup. If Lowry does start, I would definitely feel a lot better about him. Even if he comes off the bench again, I think he still probably plays a good amount. Do I expect him to put up 48 DraftKings points again? No, I definitely think that was a top tier ceiling game for Lowry. But we've seen Lowry offer some upside, and it seems like he's fully healthy right now. So at 5,600, I still think Lowry is in play here. And then the rest of Miami, you're just kind of taking shots with the rest of these guys. Gabe Vincent, we'll have to see how many minutes he gets. He's been starting lately, but that really hasn't resulted in much fantasy value. Even though he's been starting, he really hasn't flashed much upside. At 4,900, I don't really have a ton of interest in Vincent here. I could see going to Max Strus in this spot. Max Strus is a guy that, when he has good games, usually it's because he's knocking down a bunch of threes, and the Bulls this season have been one of the best matchups for three-point shooters. The Bulls have given up, I think, the second most threes per game, and they've given up the second most threes made per game and the second most three-point attempts per game. So really think it's a pretty good spot for Max Strus at 4,600. I kind of like Max Strus as a value play here. Again, his minutes, even though he's been starting lately, they've not been like super high, but this is definitely one of those spots where if Max Strus comes out of the gate and is knocking down threes, he could play extended minutes. So I don't mind him as a value play at 4,600. There really isn't much value on this slate, so you're going to have to look to guys like Strus, potentially like a Caleb Martin. Caleb Martin last game came off the bench, played 29 minutes. Wasn't very productive, but we've seen even though he's going to come off the bench, he can still play pretty good minutes. He's in play for value as well. I prefer Strus overall, but I think Martin is fine. The rest of Miami, though, there's really nothing else that looks that great here. Haywood Highsmith wasn't even in the rotation last game. Victor Oladipo wasn't in the rotation. Victor Oladipo did play, but he only played 9 minutes, so I doubt these guys really play enough to be worth rostering. Again, Miami, Spoelstra said he's going to change up the rotation a little bit. I don't really know what that means, though. I don't know if that means more minutes for Oladipo. We just really don't know. So if I'm going to take a shot on a Miami value guy, it's probably going to be either Max Strus or Caleb Martin, and I think Strus is my favorite there. But now on the other side of this game, looking at the Bulls. So the Bulls, their main three guys we can expect very heavy minutes for. Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic. This matchup against Miami is not the best overall, but Miami's defense hasn't been as strong lately, so I think LaVine and DeRozan are both fine here. LaVine had a terrible first half in that game against Toronto, but then went nuts in the second half, put up 52 DraftKings points. He was really cheap last slate at 7,300. His price tag came up to 8K for today. I still think LaVine is an okay option at 8K, but definitely doesn't look as good as he did last slate when he was 7,300. DeRozan at 7,700 I think is fine. Neither one of these guys stand out as priorities on this slate, but DeRozan's had a lot of success in this matchup against Miami for what it's worth, averaging almost 52 DK points through 3 games against them. I think I'd still slightly prefer LaVine over DeRozan, but I think both those guys are in play. Vooch is definitely in a tougher spot. We've seen Miami be one of the toughest matchups for centers this season, but Vooch is one of these guys that, he can get there even in a tough matchup just because he's a really good rebounder. He can get some assists. He can get defensive stats. He doesn't have to go out there and score 30 points to put up a good game. I mean, last game he scored 14 points and put up over 41 DraftKings points. So I'm still fine with Vooch even in a tough matchup, but I definitely think LaVine and DeRozan look a little bit better. And then the rest of the Bulls, so Alex Caruso was a pretty good value last slate if you played him. He was only 3,900, put up 27 DK points. That was like best case scenario for Caruso. He had 3 blocks and 3 steals in that game. He did play 31 minutes, which was good to see. I think we'll probably get about 30 minutes from Caruso again, but Caruso has historically never been the best permanent producer, especially when he's playing with LaVine, with DeRozan, with Vooch. So at 5K, with the price tag coming up to 5K, I'm not that interested in Caruso here. I would be a lot more interested in him if he was like 3,900 again, but at 5K, tough to have a ton of interest in Caruso. Kobe White, he played, 25 minutes last game. Wasn't great, but we know Kobe White is one of these guys that can, get hot, and he can have good games when the shot's falling. Again, the value on the slate is pretty thin, so I don't mind going to Kobe White as a value option. And then Patrick Williams did play a good amount last game. He played 25 minutes, was fairly productive, had 24 DK points. I think he's an okay value at 4,700. But there's really nothing else I'm interested in from the Bulls. Patrick Beverley started, but really didn't do much. He played 26 minutes, but had just 12 DraftKings points. I would rather go to like a Kobe White or Patrick Williams before I went to Beverly. And then, Andre Drummond barely played last game. They actually went small whenever Vooch was off the floor. Like, they played some minutes, with, like, I think they were playing, like, Derrick Jones Jr. at the 5 and Patrick Williams at the 5. So if this Chicago team is going to be fine going small when they don't have Vooch, it's really hard to see Drummond playing many minutes here. So even though he's a really good permanent producer, I just don't know if the minutes are going to be there for Drummond. Even if he does get, like, 10 minutes, he could get there in 10 minutes, but I feel like 10 minutes is like best case scenario for Drummond right now. So that's really it for Chicago. I think that's it for this game. I think we kind of talked about pretty much all the guys I'm interested in here. So let's move on to the next game, talk about OKC and Minnesota. So this game is definitely much more appealing from a pace perspective and from a point scored. I think this game is very likely to be higher scoring than the other game. So we'll start off on the Minnesota side. We got some pretty important news from Minnesota to talk about. We did get word shortly before I started recording this video that Rudy Gobert is actually questionable for this game. So supposedly he's dealing with back spasm and is uncertain to play. Obviously Gobert was suspended last game, but he was expected to be back for this one. But because he has these back spasms, there's a chance he doesn't play here. If Gobert doesn't play, then we kind of know who it's going to benefit. Karl-Anthony Towns would definitely be the biggest beneficiary, and we saw Karl-Anthony Towns play really well last game against the Lakers, 41 minutes, 52 DraftKings points. He was limited a little bit by foul trouble in that game. The game did go to overtime, but I think if Towns wouldn't have been in foul trouble, he probably would have played like 40 minutes in regulation. He's going to play a ton here. Obviously, his upside is a lot higher if he's not playing with Gobert, because when Gobert's not out there, Towns can get more rebounds. He had 11 rebounds last game. This is a really good matchup for centers, too. We've seen centers do really well against OKC this season. OKC's really struggled on the glass. We saw, Jonas Valanciunas had a huge rebounding game against them on Thursday or on Wednesday. So I think Towns is in a pretty good spot here. I would like him a lot more if Gobert is out, but I think Towns is in play regardless. Anthony Edwards was horrible last game, shot 3 for 17, but he still put up, 32 DK points even while shooting very, very poorly. Clearly, he didn't look right last game if you watched that game. Like I think he was dealing with like a shoulder injury. He had some like tape on his shoulder. I'm guessing he'll be fine for this game. I don't think this injury, that if he did have an injury last game, I don't think it's gonna keep him from playing here. Obviously, it's concerning that he shot so poorly last game, but we have a long track record of Anthony Edwards being a very good scorer. He's not going to shoot 17% from the field every game, so I'm expecting a much better game for Anthony Edwards here. The matchup against OKC, I think, is fine. He'll probably be guarded by Lou Dort. Lou Dort is a really good defender, but this game should be fast-paced. It should be high-scoring. The game environment here should be really good. So Anthony Edwards firmly in play at 8,800. Him and Towns, I think, both look really solid. And then Rudy Gobert, I think, is pretty interesting. So if Gobert plays, how many minutes does he play? I'm not 100% sure. We've seen a lot of games this season. Gobert's minutes will sometimes get cut. I think Minnesota is fine playing Towns at the 5 and just going like a little bit smaller. This is a matchup where they could definitely do that. So it's a little bit tricky. This feels like the Jonas Valanciunas situation on Wednesday night. I thought J-Val offered a lot of upside if the minutes were there, but I was a little bit worried that his minutes could get cut. They could go small. That's kind of the same thing with Gobert here. Like, if Gobert plays 35, 36 minutes, he could absolutely crush, because this OKC team, they really struggle in the paint, giving up points in the paint. They really struggle on the glass. So I think it's a really good matchup for Gobert. I'm a little bit worried about his minutes. I don't think he's guaranteed to play huge minutes, but at 7,900, he is firmly in play. I would definitely rather get up to Towns, and I would rather get up to Anthony Edwards, but I still think Gobert is viable, assuming that he does play here. And then Kyle Anderson, he was not a guy that I was super interested in last slate because he was so expensive, but he went out there and crushed. I mean, he put up 54 DraftKings points, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 13 assists, 4 blocks, 4 steals. I mean, just an all-around crazy good game for Kyle Anderson. Obviously, if Rudy Gobert returns, there's a chance that Kyle Anderson goes back to the bench. I'm not sure if they would, put Anderson back on the bench or if they would put Taurean Prince back on the bench. One of those two guys would likely go to the bench if Gobert is available to play. If Kyle Anderson comes off the bench, it's going to be tough to pay $7,400 for him. I think he still plays pretty good minutes regardless, but you kind of need him to get the 36, 37, 38 minutes to be worth his price tag. And if he's coming off the bench, I just don't know if he's going to play that many minutes. He'll probably still play like 30 minutes, but I don't know if he gets like 38. So I'm kind of waiting on Gobert's status. I think Gobert's status definitely has an impact on Anderson, and I probably wouldn't be as interested in Anderson if Gobert, does come back here. And then Mike Conley was kind of a surprise last game. He played huge minutes, was really productive, had 43 DK points. You look at this Minnesota team and you look at their bench, like they just don't really have a ton of guys they feel confident giving minutes to. Nikhil Alexander-Walker played like 23 minutes last game. Jordan McLaughlin played, like 10 minutes. Jalen Noel played like 13 minutes. And then I think Nathan Knight got like maybe 3 minutes of playing time. But they're going to run a tight rotation. Conley's going to play a lot here. Conley historically he's never been like a great per minute producer, but he's been solid. And I think if he does play like 37, 38 minutes, I mean, he can put up a good enough game to pay off 6,800. And we saw him have a really good game last game against the Lakers. He played 44 minutes, 39 minutes at the end of regulation. I don't mind paying 6,800 for Mike Conley if we're going to get like almost 40 minutes from him, which I think is definitely in the range of outcomes. So I think Conley is still a solid play even at 6,800. And then the rest of Minnesota, like Taurean Prince, I think his value depends a lot on if Gobert plays or not, because I think if Gobert plays, there's a chance that Taurean Prince could go back to the bench. Now, Taurean Prince last game did start and played a ton. He played 38 minutes in regulation, 43 minutes in overtime. The price tag at 5,200 is, I think, where it should be, but I definitely think Taurean Prince is still a viable option if he is starting. If he's not starting, I'm not as interested in him. And then if you're going to take a shot on someone off the bench from Minnesota, I think Nikhil Alexander-Walker would be my favorite value play at 4K. We know that NAW is a guy that can produce when he gets minutes. He did play 23 minutes last game. Of all the bench guys, he led the bench in minutes played. So I think he's kind of like their top bench guy they're going to go to, in terms of minutes. I don't think NAW will close. I don't think he'll play like 35 minutes or anything. But if he gets 22, 24 minutes again, I mean, at 4K on a slate with really no value, NAW could put up 20, 25 DraftKings points in 22, 24 minutes. And that's going to be probably good enough at his salary. So I definitely think at 4K, NAW is firmly in play for value. You could take a shot on like Jalen Noel or Jordan McLaughlin, but I definitely feel better about NAW over those guys. Noel, though, is a pretty good permanent producer. He did get 13 minutes last game. He's an okay value, but again, I would rather go to NAW if I'm choosing there. And then really nothing else on Minnesota I think is that viable. Again, Gobert was out last game, but they really didn't even play. Luka Garza didn't even play, and Nathan Knight played like 3 minutes. He played 2 minutes, so I don't think these guys are really going to be viable options, even if Gobert's out again. So let's talk about the other side of this game now with OKC. And OKC, they ran a really tight rotation last game as well. You saw 40-plus minutes for SGA, 40-plus minutes for Josh Giddey. I think Jalen Williams played a ton. He played like almost 40 minutes. We actually saw Lou Dort play a ton. He played 36 minutes. And then Jalen Williams, the center, actually played a lot as well, 32 minutes. And then off the bench, Aaron Wiggins got a little bit of playing time. He played 13 minutes off the bench. Isaiah Joe played a little bit. He played 19 minutes. I know Dario Saric played 10 minutes, and then I think someone else played. I can't remember who it was. Lindy Waters, he got 4 minutes. But even if you don't count the 4 or 5 minutes that Lindy Waters played, OKC pretty much ran an 8-man rotation last game. Technically, they ran a 7-man rotation because Aaron Wiggins didn't play much. Isaiah Joe played 19 minutes. But Dario Saric played 10 minutes. I think we can expect OKC to run a really tight rotation here once again. And if this game's competitive, we should get 40 minutes from SGA, 40 minutes from Giddey, probably 40 minutes from Jalen Williams, high 30s from Lou Dort. I think we'll get low 30s from the center Jalen Williams as well. So there's a lot to like on OKC. SGA at 10,400 I think is the clear best pay-up option on this slate. He didn't have the best game overall last game, put up 50 DraftKings points, but again, he played 41 minutes. Minnesota without Jaden McDaniels, I think they're really going to struggle to slow down SGA here. They just don't really have an elite defender. Jaden McDaniels was their elite defender, but he's obviously out right now. So I think it's a really good spot for SGA. If we have the value to fit him, I haven't really built lineups yet, so I can't really say if it's easy to fit SGA or not. But if I can fit him into my lineups, I think SGA is clearly a top option. And then Josh Giddey, he's normally not a guy that I really ever want to pay $9K for when he's playing with SGA. But if Giddey's going to play 42 minutes like he did last game, I think he's fine to pay almost $9K for, because we know that Giddey is a guy that can produce when he gets minutes. He's a guy that can stuff the stat sheet. He almost had a triple-double last game. I think Giddey's firmly in play here. I'm not as excited about him. I think I would rather go to SGA. And even though Giddey outscored SGA last game, I still think more times than not SGA is going to outscore Giddey by a good amount. So I do prefer SGA over Giddey, but normally I don't really like Giddey that much. But the fact that he played 42 minutes last game is definitely a plus. And this OKC team, they really don't have a ton of guys off their bench they feel confident giving minutes to. So we can expect huge minutes for SGA, for Giddey. Both those guys firmly in play. Even Jalen Williams, I don't mind. I know he didn't have the best game last game, but he played 40 minutes. Normally when he plays 40 minutes, he's going to produce more than 24 DraftKings points. Obviously, a lot of his best games this season have come like when SGA's been out, but even with SGA and Giddey on the floor, I still think Jalen Williams can produce enough to where he can pay off 6,400, especially when he's playing almost 40 minutes. So he's fine to go to. I think Lou Dort, once again, looks like a pretty solid option. Lou Dort obviously had a really good game last game, shot the ball really well. Wouldn't expect that type of, I wouldn't expect him to go out there and score 27 points again, but when Lou Dort's playing 36 minutes, I mean, he can easily outperform a $5,900 salary. He's a little bit more expensive than he was last slate, but I still think Lou Dort is a viable option as well. Really all the OKC starters I'm interested in here. And then even Jalen Williams, he's not a guy that I've really played much at all this season, but last game he got 32 minutes, was really productive. Jalen Williams, he's not a bad perimeter producer. He's a guy that when he does get minutes, he can produce. And you look at this OKC team, you look at their roster, their bench, they just don't really have a ton of bench guys they're going to feel confident playing. Like, they don't really want to play Isaiah Joe a ton. It doesn't seem like it, at least. They don't really want to play Aaron Wiggins a ton. Dario Saric only played like 10 minutes. Lindy Waters played like 5 minutes. I mean, I think we can expect pretty good minutes again here for Jalen Williams. And he's one of the few value plays on this slate that I think stands out as a strong value. If he plays over 30 minutes again, he's very likely to outperform a $4,400 salary. And you saw like a lot of the guys got priced up. Like Lowry got priced up a lot after his big game. Some of these other guys like Caruso got priced up a lot. Jalen Williams is still really cheap, $4,400. So he's someone that I definitely like on this slate for value. And then if you're gonna take a shot on someone off the bench for OKC, if one of these bench guys gets hot, like Isaiah Joe's a guy that has shown he can, knock down threes. He's been a really good three-point shooter this season. He is one of these guys that can get hot from three and can have a good game, even in somewhat limited minutes. So I don't mind taking a shot on him at 4,200. I think if he does play more minutes, that probably comes at the expense of Jalen Williams, the center. Like, I think if Jalen Williams, the center, only plays like 20 minutes and doesn't close, that's probably because they're going small and they're playing like J-Dub at the 5, and then you're seeing like more minutes for Isaiah Joe. So I probably wouldn't play like Jalen Williams, the center, and then Isaiah Joe together, because I think those guys kind of negatively correlate. But Isaiah Joe, if I was going to take a shot on someone off the bench for OKC, I think he's my favorite option. Don't have a ton of interest though in Aaron Wiggins or Dario Saric or even Lindy Waters. Lindy Waters probably might not even be in the rotation here. Saric probably plays like maybe 10 minutes. Not super interested in him. So I think that does it for OKC. I think that does it for both of these two games. Guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, though. I appreciate you watching. Hopefully this video did help you guys. If you enjoyed, make sure you hit that like button down below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And be sure to go check out PrizePicks as well. You guys can sign up for PrizePicks and use my promo code Noah. When you sign up, you'll get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. Check out PrizePicks. Check out some of the props they have available for these Friday night games. See if there's anything that stands out to you. Again, you're just taking more or less on a player's projection. It's as simple as that. You can make up to 2 picks, or you have to make at least 2 picks. You can make up to 6 picks. You can win up to 25x your money on PrizePicks. So go check them out, guys. Use that promo code Noah. When you sign up, get your first deposit matched up to $100. But that's all that I got for this slate, guys. Wish you the best of luck. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully we all win some money tonight, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.